That's why we do it that way. So I want to begin this way, and I think it's fundamentally important. We're obviously operating in an election year, and everybody wants to know, will the president get reelected? Don't know. It will be extremely tight, extremely close. But I will say this here, and very simply, that President Barack Obama cannot, will not, and is not the answer when it comes to economic development for black folks. Now I got your attention. And the reason I say that is because black folks made a fundamental mistake in 1972 when they had the Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana. You had some of the biggest and brightest folks who assembled in Gary, Indiana. And at that conference, they decided that the future for black America could only take place by going down a political path. The assumption coming out of the civil rights movement was that that was the way in order for black folks to truly gain freedom in the United States. And so all of the effort was put into developing a strong political class in terms of elected officials, local, statewide, and national. And so here we find ourselves 40 plus years later, looking at an official unemployment rate of 14%, an unofficial employment rate of 28%, a 43% unemployment rate among young black folks, and folks are trying to ask the question, what is happening with African Americans when it comes to business? And it is because we continue to have the wrong conversation in the wrong place to the wrong people. Now, I have nothing against, I'm very supportive of NAACP, National Urban League, I'm very supportive of National Action Network, Rainbow Push, but you will not be able to find economic equality by talking to civil rights organizations. Because that is simply not what they are built to handle. But what has happened is whenever there has been an economic conversation, we have always said, let's go to the church, let's go to civil rights groups, let's go to fraternities and sororities. And no one ever says, why don't we actually go to the folks who do exactly what we're talking about? Yes. And so I would say part of your challenge has to be to force yourself onto the national agenda, and you might have to aggressively elbow some other folks aside. Now, that ain't personal, that's just business. Because you see, and I'll give you an example. When the stimulus bill was passed, when I was talking to the White House, I said, okay, I want to know who got what and how much they got. So I want somebody black in the Treasury Department to come on the Tom Jones Morning Show. They sent me a brother from HUD. I said, okay, I thought I was clear. One of the reasons I specifically asked for a high-ranking African American in the Treasury Department because I wanted to know if they could find one. And so when the brother came on the show, I hit him up with the questions, and he couldn't clearly answer my questions, and I began to kick his behind. Because my issue was the fact that you cannot find me somebody on the assistant secretary level in the Department of Treasury, for me, was a fundamental problem. And so they had to go back and they had to get some more numbers. A lot of you may not even realize that there was an African American sister who was one of the 3 members appointed to the White House Council of Economic Advisors. Did nobody know Cecilia Rouse for 2 years? In fact, her first television appearance on any show in the country was on my show. Her last television appearance on any show in the country was on my show. And I said, how can you have this brilliant